A city so old, so layered and so deeply woven into the fabric of the modern world that even its ruins have ruins. At its absolute peak, Rome was home to over 1 million people in a world where most cities struggled to house 20,000. It built roads connecting 3 continents. It gave us civil law, the concrete arch, and running water in apartment blocks 2,000 years ago. It produced Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Constantine. It also produced Caligula and Nero. Rome was not supposed to survive. It was nearly destroyed in its infancy, came within a hair of total defeat against Hannibal, tore itself apart in civil wars, and eventually collapsed slowly, piece by piece. How did a small hilltop settlement become the capital of the ancient world? Before we uncover the answers, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Ancient Files for more epic historical journeys. Now, let's begin at the beginning. Blood and kings before Rome was Rome. It was just a collection of small villages on the hills above the Tiber River. The biggest civilization nearby wasn't Roman. It was the Etruscans. Early Rome learned a massive amount from them how to build, plan a city, and run a government. But the Romans preferred a better origin story. According to legend, the city was founded on April 21, 753 BC, by twin brothers Romulus and Remus. Abandoned as babies and raised by a she-wolf, they returned to build a city. They argued over which hill to build it on, and Romulus killed his brother. Rome's very first act was a murder inside the founding family. Romulus became the first king. 6 more kings followed. Some were decent, but the last, Tarquin the Proud, was so cruel that the Roman nobility snapped in 509 BC. Following a brutal assault on a noblewoman named Lucretia by the king's son, the nobility rose up throughout the royal family and made a vow: Rome will never be ruled by a king again. The monarchy is dead. The Republic is born. Part 2. The Republic and the people. The new Republic set up a government where power was shared. 2 leaders, called consuls, were elected every year. A council of senior citizens, the Senate, advised them. But there was a catch. It was run entirely by the patricians, the wealthy nobles. The plebeians, ordinary farmers, craftsmen, and soldiers had no say. In 494 BC, the plebeians simply walked out. In the world's first general strike, they left the city and refused to fight in the army. Since Rome couldn't defend itself without them, the patricians caved. They created the tribune of the plebs, an elected official whose sole job was to protect ordinary citizens and whose body was legally untouchable. Rome established a radical idea: power could be challenged through institutions, not just violence. Meanwhile, Rome was constantly at war. In 390 BC, a Celtic tribe called the Gauls marched in and burned Rome to the ground. But Rome didn't quit. They rebuilt, reorganized, and systematically conquered the Italian peninsula. Unlike other empires that crushed their enemies, Rome offered terms, absorbing defeated neighbors as allies or citizens. But out across the Mediterranean, there was another great power. The monster Hannibal. Carthage, a hugely wealthy city in North Africa that controlled the sea. For a growing Rome, Carthage was a direct threat. This sparked the Punic Wars. When the First Punic War started in 264 BC, Rome barely had a navy. So, they captured a Carthaginian warship, reverse-engineered it, built hundreds of copies, and won. Then came Hannibal Barca. Raised to hate Rome, he grew up to be one of history's greatest military minds. In 218 BC, he did the unthinkable. He marched his army and dozens of war elephants over the freezing Alps in the middle of winter and dropped into Italy. Hannibal destroyed every army Rome sent. Then came Cannae in 216 BC. Facing 80,000 Roman soldiers, Hannibal encircled and wiped them out. Up to 70,000 Romans died in a single afternoon. The shock was total. Yet, the Roman Senate refused to surrender. They raised new armies, harassed Hannibal's supply lines, and waited him out. Finally, a Roman general named Scipio sailed directly to Africa. Hannibal had to rush home, and Scipio beat him at the Battle of Zama in 202 BC. Decades later, Rome burned Carthage to the ground. Rome was now the undisputed master of the Western world. The death of the Republic, all those wars made Rome incredibly rich. But the wealth didn't spread evenly. Aristocrats bought up all the land using cheap slave labor, leaving ordinary war veterans homeless. Two brothers, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, tried to redistribute land back to the poor. The Senate responded by having them murdered in the streets. Political violence was now normalized. Generals started building private armies. Into this chaos stepped Gaius Julius Caesar. Brilliant and ruthless, Caesar formed an alliance to dominate politics, then spent 8 years conquering Gaul. He became unstoppably popular. Terrified, the Senate ordered him to disband his army and come home. Instead, in January 49 BC, Caesar led a legion across the Rubicon River, an act of treason. He reportedly said, "The die is cast." He won the resulting civil war, went to Egypt, had a child with Queen Cleopatra, and returned to Rome as dictator for life. The Senate decided he had to die. On the Ides of March 44 BC, they stabbed Caesar 23 times on the Senate floor. They thought they had saved the Republic. Instead, they destroyed it. Caesar's 18-year-old adopted heir Octavian teamed up with Mark Antony to hunt down the assassins. Predictably, they then turned on each other. Octavian defeated Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium. He became the sole master of the Roman world, took the title Augustus, and became Rome's first emperor. Emperors, madmen, and the Golden Age Augustus ruled for 44 years, kicking off the Pax Romana, 2 centuries of relative peace. He boasted that he found a city of brick and left it a city of marble. His successors, however, were a mixed bag. You had Caligula, who was so insane and cruel that his own bodyguards assassinated him. You had Claudius, who surprisingly conquered Britain. And then there was Nero, who famously built a massive golden palace after a catastrophic fire burned through Rome in 64 AD, eventually being driven to suicide by the public. To win back the people, the next dynasty built the ultimate public venue over Nero's private lake, the Colosseum. Then came the 2nd century AD, the Golden Age. A string of leaders known as the 5 Good Emperors chose power based on merit, adopting capable successors instead of their own children. Trajan pushed the empire to its absolute largest size, stretching from Scotland to Iraq. Hadrian pulled back, building a massive wall in Britain and engineering the Pantheon, whose concrete dome still stands today. Marcus Aurelius ruled during plague and war, writing a private journal of Stoic philosophy we still read today called Meditations. But Marcus Aurelius broke the golden rule. He left the empire to his biological son Commodus, a vain madman who declared himself a living god and was strangled in his bath. The Golden Age was over. The fall of the West. What followed was a 50-year nightmare known as the Crisis of the 3rd Century. Over 20 military commanders violently seized the throne, plague ravaged the cities, and the economy collapsed. Emperor Diocletian temporarily stopped the bleeding by splitting the massive empire into an eastern and western half. Shortly after, Emperor Constantine changed world history forever. Before a major battle in 312 AD, He claimed to see a Christian symbol in the sky. He won the battle, legalized Christianity, and moved the capital east to a new city, Constantinople. The East grew rich and powerful. The West, however, was living on borrowed time. Pushed by fierce nomadic warriors called the Huns, Germanic tribes flooded across Rome's borders. In 410 AD, the Visigoths did the unthinkable. They marched into Rome and sacked it. The city had not fallen to a foreign enemy in 800 years. Finally, in 476 AD, a Germanic chieftain named Odoacer walked into Italy and quietly removed the last Western Roman emperor, a teenager ironically named Romulus Augustulus. Odoacer sent the imperial crown to Constantinople and called himself King of Italy. The Western Roman Empire was officially gone. Rebirth in modern Rome shrank from 1 million people to barely 20,000. Cows grazed in the ancient Forum. The Colosseum was picked apart for building materials. But Rome did not disappear, it transformed. The Catholic Church stepped into the power vacuum, turning Rome into the spiritual capital of the world. In the 15th century, the Renaissance arrived. Popes funded visionaries like Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel, and architects like Bernini to reshape the city with sweeping colonnades and dramatic fountains, like the Trevi Fountain, which is still fed by an ancient Roman aqueduct today. By the 19th century, Rome became the capital of a newly unified Italy. In the 20th century, the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini tore through ancient neighborhoods to build grand boulevards for his propaganda, attempting to wrap himself in the glory of the ancient emperors. Today, Rome is a bustling metropolis of millions. It struggles with modern problems: traffic, tourism, and a subway system that gets delayed every time builders accidentally dig into a 2,000-year-old temple. How do you build a future when your past is this heavy? The city that once ran the ancient world is still working out its place in the modern one. It was built on conquest, but it gave humanity the blueprint for modern law, architecture, and governance. That is the story of Rome. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the Ancient Files for more deep dives into the greatest stories ever told. We'll see you in the past.